Dennis Radar worked in an ADT security service office and installed security alarms as part of his job. He was also the president of his church council. Some people know him for that, but he is significantly known for being the BTK serial killer, murdering at least 10 victims. A serial killer is somebody who murders 3 or more people with the same characteristics over a time span. This elucidates the fact that the most seemingly trustworthy people can commit the most unthinkable acts. A parent should be concerned about the safety of their children. An employer should be concerned about the safety of the company's employees. An American should be concerned about the safety of his country. Therefore, you all should be knowledgeable of the information I will discuss in order to be aware of the serial killer group of our population. Despite the fact that serial killers account for about less than 1% of murders committed in a year, paying attention to the people surrounding us are extremely important. As a citizen of the United States of America and a constant traveler, I am always curious about the people I come across, and I try to be cognizant of who I surround myself with. Therefore, learning about the serial killer group of our population interests me. I have done vigorous research online, such as exploring articles, viewing documentaries, interviews, and biographies, in order to gain substantial knowledge about the mindsets of serial killers. First, I will describe the common themes of a serial murderer's childhood. Second, I will examine the motivations of a serial killer. Third, I will discuss how serial killers view their victims. To begin, one's childhood affects the thinking patterns, behaviors, and decisions of a person. The behavior a person exuberates is influenced by life experiences and occurrences such as childhood abuse and abandonment. Data from 2005, although not recent but extremely significant, displayed that 36% of the serial killer population was physically abused compared to the 6% of the general population. 26% of the serial killer population was sexually abused compared to the 3% of the general population. This confirms the fact that serial killers are not exactly born killers, however, products of what they've experienced at a young age, and it goes beyond just abuse. For instance, Aileen Wuornos, serial killer who murdered 7 men, was abandoned by her parents and ran away from home at the age of 15. In her adult life, she worked as a sex worker. Henceforth, this illuminates the factors that play a part of the shaping of an adult. Consequently, a serial killer's mentality is partially impacted by how that person was treated or what one has suffered through at a young age. Now, what actually drives a serial killer to kill? Serial killers aren't normal killers. What distinguishes serial killers from other murderers are their motives to kill. Normal homicides have a personal connection with the victim. However, serial killers are driven by instinct and desire. Motivations include power/control, visionary and fantasies, mission-oriented, and purely thrill. Case in point, mission-oriented motives could be to get rid of a certain type of people, such as Pedro Rodriguez Filho, who murdered at least 71 people, justified his murders by stating it was for justice. Furthermore, serial killers seek out victims who fit that specific serial killer's criterion of pleasure. Serial killer victims all have something in common that only the serial killer can identify. According to crimemuseum.org, additionally, serial killers seek some type of thrill or attributes from their victims in order to achieve one of the 4 motives discussed above. Those factors are extremely important in order to comprehend serial killers' desire to murder and their mindset. Now you may ask, how can people kill multiple human beings with pleasure? One trait serial killers obtain is a lack of remorse/guilt. Similar to serial killer David Berkowitz, who killed 6 people, was adopted as a child, therefore lacked self-identity. Consequently, he didn't regard his victims as humans, but more as an object. Serial killers often hunt for their ideal victim, or simply take pleasure in literally hunting victims, such as Malat Ivan Robert Marco, who would hunt down his victims like animals, giving them a head start before hunting them. Mlat Marco is one out of the several serial killers who utilize their victims as objects and targets. This gives insight to a serial killer's perspective of their victims. They generally lack emotions and feelings towards their victims, primarily due to the lack of connection with them and their belief that their victims are vulnerable and weak. Therefore, they deserve to be treated that way. Ultimately, serial killers are impacted mostly by their childhood. What motivates them are 4 factors: power/control, visionary, thrill, and mission-oriented. Lastly, serial killers lack remorse or sorrow, therefore doesn't view their victims as humans. I wish to communicate the variety of factors that influences the behaviors of serial killers, what motivates them to execute these actions, and their perspectives in order to have a substantial amount of understanding about serial killers and their mentality. Most recently, Darren Dion Vaughn is a suspected serial killer in Indiana, suspected of killing at least 7 women. This illuminates the fact that despite all the security and precautions we believe that we have in 2014, there are always harm and dangers where we least expect it. Consequently, we all should be conscious of the people we allow around us because we never know who people are behind closed doors.